end of March and I thought it was round about time I came out of, all that squeaking, I came out of hibernation, and I've chosen a fantastic day for it because the first time in a long time the sun's out. You can't see it, it's actually there, but look, I have to screw my eyes up and I'm not looking at it directly. So the sap is rising in everything, including me. And yeah, there's nothing more I want to do on a day like this than get down and get started, just like that man is doing with his lawnmower. So is it worth carrying on with that noise? I don't know. I'll try. Anyway, I was aware that so many of you have got your allotments completely under control because you've been really, really good and got everything organised. But what you're going to see today is my allotment as it is after having been completely neglected for several months. Okay, it's actually not too bad, but at the risk of panicking and thinking there's so much to do, there's loads and loads of different things to do, because there is, we're coming up to that time of year, I'm just going to settle on a couple of things today. I'm going to take a good look at my herb bed, rearrange that a bit, and I'm going to sort out my fruit bed at the other end, which is, well, I'll show you, it's in a bit of a state, but it won't take long at all to do. And then that's 2 clear bits done, so next time I come down it doesn't seem so daunting. So yes, black clouds on that side now, so I better shut up and get on. Okay. Look at this. You don't see this sort of thing very often. An empty greenhouse in March. The reason being, we've just had such cold weather. So this is pretty much as I emptied it out at the end of the season last year. I gave it a really good brush, but I must admit I didn't disinfect it or anything again. So I will do that before I start setting things up for the coming year. But yeah, everything's ready to go really. I've got to turn, that's the upside down table. I've got to turn that, flip that the other way up to start putting seed trays on and everything. But at the moment everything's on window, well, to be honest, we've got one big bay window still at home, and most stuff is piled up on there because we keep getting forecast cold spells again, and we have had it colder than I remember for a long time. So rather than risk my poor old seedlings suddenly getting a shock, I'm going to wait until at least another week or 2 before bringing them down. But yeah, all ready to go. Another thing I'm really pleased about actually is that tree over there did fill all of that space and has done now for the last few years. So I had a word with the council, asked if they could just take it down a bit. Sorry, it's getting a bit windy now. And they haven't taken it all the way down, which I'm pleased about because it is nesting season, but they've taken it down enough so it's now not overshadowing the plot. Because, for example, the first summer we were here, we had to put the white paint on the greenhouse because it was getting way too hot and things were getting scorched. And then since then, it's just been in shade from about midday because the tree had got so big. So yeah, very pleased. That's going to make a big difference, but will mean we'll probably have to get the white paint out again. Never mind, swings and roundabouts, eh? And this is the herb bed. Again, let's give you a bit of so you know where it is. Pond, plot, greenhouse, probably making you seasick, aren't I? Shed, and the herbs have been here, and they have done again over the last couple of years, they have done absolutely beautifully there, but I do need to make a few changes. One thing is I'm going to actually move the bed to there, because when we sit there, I mean, it's all very well having carrots in front of you, which we did last year, but I find that I'm directly looking over to here and looking at where all the herbs are, and that's where all the activity is taking place. So yeah, I want to have that a bit near the seating, and there's a couple of things in here that I'm going to take up. So for example, I have got, well, I'm going to show you, I'll show you now. Oh, hello. you see me, mother? I'm ever so sorry, I've had this blooming cough for too long and it's annoying me. Anyway, in here I have got, it did have some structure to it when I first started. I had a rosemary plant in the middle and I had an idea, I don't know if you've got the top of my head, the rosemary was going to be a lovely big plant, and all the other herbs would be nice and neat around the edge, but of course it didn't happen. The rosemary got completely overcovered and I forgot about it, and only found it last week. It was last year. It was like a little dead stem, so that came out. But what has overtaken, of course, as it will, is the mint. Who'd have thought? I'm ever so sorry he's mowing his lawn. Doesn't he know who we are? He'll just have to put up with me. I'm not saying anything very interesting anyway. So yeah, I've got mint on this side, which as you know goes mad. I've got a similar mad plant on that side, and this is where the two combine to suffocate the poor rosemary, which is lemon balm, which I do love. But with both of these, when I first put them in, I actually filmed putting them in and put them in directly in the soil, and I had so many comments saying, Jane, take it out again, put it in a pot. Excuse me. Put it in a pot, that'll it'll swamp everything, it'll go mad. So I did, I listened, you see. Don't do that very often. I did, and I'm glad I did, because hopefully now, what I'm gonna do, I do love herbs, and I've got so many more that have bunged in, literally bunged in on this side of the greenhouse, that I want to give some actual space to. I'm going to take the mint up completely, hopefully in its pot. Smell yet? But, and then I'm going to take it home, big pot at home, because that's where I use it. I have got a little bit at home, but I am, much as mint is lovely, it doesn't get brilliant flowers, it gets nice ones, but I use it more for the leaves. I do like to make a mint tea in the summer. So, if it's something I'm going to use at home, I'm going to grow it at home, because, and then I'll give this space to a more deserving herb. Okay, I do use all the herbs at home, but I've got things here like English mace, which look nice, and I've got a lovely history, and I can't remember what they do, what it does, but it's a proper nice old-fashioned herb. But again, that's bunged in behind the shed, as is, I think I've got either winter savoury or summer savoury. I've got my woodruff, that might stay there, that's the one that you dry, and it's got a really, really lovely scent. When it dries, it's absolutely beautiful. But you can see I'm just, this is my sort of gardening. Pull it out. Okay, it's mint, it's tough. What I think will have probably happened here, get out lemon balm, it's not your turn, is it will probably have, I mean I can see straight away, that is where the pot is. Loads of green coming up on it, it's tough as old boots. Oh, and there's a dandelion. It may well have sent out runners from the top of the pot, so, oh, we stopped. So, we shall see what lifts up easily. So, as I often do, and then I regret it deeply, I am just going to go in there and see what happens. What I want to happen here is to be able to lift this up, and it will be in a lovely, neat clump. There won't be anything growing off it, and I'll be able to put it in a bucket and take it home. Right, okay. Bucket. Bucket. Going in. Found the pot. So, okay. if it worked. It never happens. It doesn't happen to me. Okay. Hey. So thank you. Oh, hold on, I'm speaking too soon. Look at that though. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's roots everywhere. Of course there will be. But that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. You can see though what I mean. I'm going to bring it over. I mean, it has completely deformed the pot. Look, poor old thing, really. But it's sent out runners off the top, look. And that is how it spreads. But at least it's been contained a little bit. So, that will go home with me. And then what I will have to do is I'm going to have to be really quite methodical here, which I'm not going to do at the minute, and make sure I pull out all the bits of fruit. And of course, if anybody wanted any mint, they could certainly come and help themselves. There's a nettle here as well. Oh, you find all sorts of understand here. What is nice about this area though, look at that, oh my goodness. That might actually be coming over from over there. Probably pulling the wrong thing. Look at all this, wow. Okay, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, what I do like in my method of gardening, very much in my tiny garden at home, and it does come from the fact we've just not got enough space at home. Ducks. I do tend to just throw things in and they all grow together, and that's the way I do. That's the way I garden. I don't like to probably pulling up all the wrong roots. I'm probably killing my herbs live on camera. I do like to garden so you don't see any soily spaces. So there's a word for that. I don't know what it is. But then I find you don't get the weeds because there's the cover, and it's just better for everything. Right, okay. That way. It's not going to make my cough any better. Oh, right in my mouth. Okay, yeah, I'll get on with this in a bit. I'm going to go around and do exactly the same to the lemon balm, and hope actually that it comes up just as easy. So, wish me luck. Easy. Wow. There we go. Let's just see if you can see that. Smells absolutely beautiful. But gotta be honest, look at that. Don't know if you can see that. Yeah, look at those. Not a moment too soon. So, but I mean, this is what I mean. I don't know if you can see this. Look under here. These things need somewhere to overwinter. Look. Can you actually see that? Little ladybird. So yeah, in a bucket, home it goes. There we go. Oh, would you look at that? We've even got shadows. Shows the sun's out. Okay, so that's as much as I'm going to do here for today, because I've got the, oh, I'll show you, the mint. Look. The mint, that one, and the lemon balm there, ready to go. And I have discovered again my English mace. I've got garlic chives, marjoram, completely leggy, had to take loads off that. St John's wort over there, ordinary chives, and I'm pretty sure I've got other stuff that's going to start coming up. But they are now ready to lift and transfer to here. I'm just going to give this a good tickle over first, and I'm not going to do it today. I think, yeah, I want to go on with the fruit cage now. Okay, so, right, on we go. And look at this. One of my favourite bits of the plot is my absolutely hopeless pond. Never a sign of a frog, apart from him, which is probably the reason they don't come. But yeah, I mean, if you've seen my videos before, you know that in the summer this is all knee-high and whatever with wildflowers, etc., and it is very lovely. But even at this time of year, things that I've put in just to naturalise, we've got the we've got the pulmonaria, the lungwort, and all sorts of stuff coming up. But what I am going to have to do now to fill in the gaps is get some pots out from behind the shed. I don't want to go behind the shed, but I've got pots behind there that I've got tulips in, which I want to bring out, because just before like the foxgloves and things come up again, we've got these bare patches. So yeah, the good thing is with pots, you can just stick them where there's a bare patch and it'll fill it up nicely. So that's another job. I might get that done today if I can be bothered, or if I can bear to go behind the shed. The kale's still standing. This is the Cavalla Nero, or Cavallan, I don't know how you say it, I call it Cavalla Nero. Yeah, I don't think the pigeons think it's worth stripping because there's so many tiny, it's very, very small. But it's certainly very fresh, and the lovely thing at this time of year is there's no blooming whitefly on it. So yeah, keep taking little bits of that. That's really good. Okay, are you ready for this? In we go. Right, okay, this door won't stay open. Right, okay, this is one of the things. I came down a couple of weeks ago, determined. I was going to move the, what have I got? I've got currants, I've got gooseberries, I've got a red currant somewhere along here, don't know which one, and another gooseberry. And yes, they're all way too close together. They are at the most 2 feet apart, which I know is too close. But yes, they were all going to get moved. And then they didn't. And so they started growing again, so it's going to be another season. However, I thought I would be very good and prune them correctly this year. So not so much the gooseberries, don't quite know what I'm doing with them. But let me see, where was I looking? Okay. You are only supposed to prune last year's wood. Is that right? No, you don't prune. This is where I went wrong last time. Don't prune last year's wood, because that's where you will get this year's fruit. So if it's older than a year, if it's more than a year old, oh, this is great, isn't it? If it's more than a year old, take it out, because it will have fruited. If it is fruited, if it is, if it is wood that is fruited, it can go. If it has grown last year, leave it, because you will get your currants. Okay. So I was online seeing how to spot which looked like the older wood, which is always like the sort of darker wood, and what would be the newer wood and which one to take out. And I came down and realised that all my wood looks exactly the same. I couldn't work out, you know, what was different between that, for example, and I suppose that does look, actually that looks newer. Anyway, so and I realised that is probably because this time last year I came down and just chopped it all off. I chopped off all the wood willy-nilly, thinking I was doing it good, and somebody commented and said, you have just got rid of your whole crop of blackcurrants for this year, which I had. I think I had about 3. So this year I'm leaving it. It actually, it's quite open, it's spacious, and you know what? I'm going to give it another year and just see what happens. But this is one of those live and learn type things. I mean, look at this one. Oh, this might be the one I was looking at, you know. Ow, oh, I've just got a raspberry in the back of my neck. How can you tell the difference between that wood and that wood? You can't, they're the same. Okay, so yeah, so I'm leaving it. I should maybe come in and cut out bits that are crossing, but I probably won't. Being completely honest about it. So these are going to be left to fend for themselves basically this year. But on this side, I have got my raspberries, which, as you can see from this, I mean, I thought I'd cut them right down in the autumn, but clearly I either didn't or I didn't do it enough because they were an absolute jungle. So what I am going to do this year, because the crop wasn't as good, even though there were that many last year, the crop wasn't as good, they were just too overcrowded. I'm going to chop them all down and then try and split them and see what happens. Okay, well, several thorny fingers later, I've taken up most of the raspberry, or rather cut back most of the raspberries, and I know it's extremely late, but they're only just starting to bud, so I think they're tough as old boots and they're going to be okay. But if you actually have a look, what this has allowed me to do is, don't look at that horrible thing of water over there, you can actually see these, these clumps here, but really quite well established, and actually I don't really want to go messing with those. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave them in, and I am going to give them a really, really good feed. If you've seen me in years gone by sorting out the fruit patch, you'll know that I put hops on from our local brewery. You can just pick them up for free, and you can see just how beautifully they rot down. I mean, literally, it is a bag of hops. It smells like a wet pub carpet on a Saturday night for a couple of weeks, but it rots down beautifully and leaves this absolutely gorgeous loam compost stuff. Really, really nice. So I will get some sort of it needs something a bit more than that, so I'll try and get hold of some really well rotted manure, get that on and put some hops on top as like a final mulch really, and hopefully I shall have a decent crop. And if I don't get raspberries this year, I'm certainly going to get some blackcurrants. So that's it. That just got this bit in the middle to tidy up. But yeah, a good feed, a little bit of TLC, and I expect some nice fruit. I've just got a fly in my eye. Okay. Quite as perky as I thought they would, but I've put the tulips in. Look at that poor thing, it had a pot on top of it, so I can only cross fingers and hope that that's going to come. But you know what, if they don't, I've lost nothing. So yeah, hopefully a little bit of time out in the sun and they'll pick up and we'll have some beautiful tulips. Oh, you know, I can't tell you how much of a tonic it's been to come down here today with that thing up there in the sky. It makes such a difference. We did have a couple of nice days about a week or two ago. It's funny how you remember because they were so far and few between. And I actually had this horrible cold virus, so I was lying indoors feeling really sorry for myself, but kicking myself that the first nice days of the year I couldn't actually get up and do anything. So yeah, to come down today has been such a tonic, and hopefully, even though we're saying it's been really, really cold, and I think everybody else outside the UK thinks it's hilarious we panic when it gets like -1, I'm just hoping it's got rid of a load of the bugs. It's got rid of the whitefly on the kale. I think they lasted over winter last year, but hopefully we'll see a difference in bug reduction. There's probably a word for that. throughout the coming months, because it is more natural that it's very cold in the winter, obviously. But it can't be the day like this. The sun's going in now. Have you seen that? It's getting dark because I started talking. Anyway, I've half done a few jobs today, which I think is very good. I'm terrible at half doing things. I go in all guns blazing, thinking, yeah, I'm going to get this thing done. But I've got such a short attention span, I get bored. So, especially when I've got several things that I need to get done or want to get done, I think when I start that one, I can go back to it later. But the good thing is, I've started with my herbs now. I know that next time all I've got to do is dig them up and move them across. I've had a good look. I have assessed my fruit situation, and I have assessed that with good luck and a fair wind, I might get some fruit this year, so that's good. But that was looking pretty scary. That looked really overgrown and everything, and now it looks doable. Okay, I'm just going to mulch it, look after it, and it should be okay. Tulips are out. All this, it's just so nice when it's looked so dead for so long. I mean, the time step, oh, that's gorgeous. That's why you've got to grow herbs. It makes gardening, you accidentally sit on it, which I've just done. It's a bit uncomfortable, but it smells very nice. But yeah, just seeing things come back out, and you think, how on earth is something so small and so delicate? I don't know if you can see them. Managed to survive all that rotten weather, you know. And we've been inside shivering like fools. But hopefully now, this is the start of it. Easter next weekend, and bloomin' X, all systems go. We've got one more cold snap we're due to have, which is next weekend, and then it's just going to be a case of, wow, watch this space really. I have been planting seeds. They're all at home on the windowsill, like I think I mentioned. I've got my tomatoes in. And what I've done this year, there was like a packet of mixed tomato seeds. So I've got a Marmande, which is the beefsteak variety. I've got Gardener's Delight, which everyone else swears by. I don't, oh, I may have grown it last year, can't remember. A yellow cherry one, and Ailsa Craig, and they're all coming on. They're doing well. I did sow some onions back in January, and then I transplanted them, and they haven't recovered. So something's going to have to be done about them. What else have I got going? Chilies are going, and starting to get all my pelargoniums back out. You know, again, they've just looked dead all winter. They've been in the back room in the house, and I've got them out, and they're coming into growth again. It just makes you think, isn't it fantastic, hey? And it does. When I said before about the sap rising, I do really feel like I'm starting to wake up again now. I do feel like I go into a bit of hibernation over winter, so yeah, get a bit lethargic, a bit So yeah, I love this, I love it, and I know I will be going to bed tonight and dreaming about mint roots and lemon balm roots and pulling them up with the satisfaction that that brings. But I'm going to go now. I'm not going to witter on. She says, I've done enough of that already. Sid's just walked past, our allotment neighbour, and has offered me some Jerusalem artichokes. So again, one of the wonderful things about allotments is the sharing. And he is going to share his artichokes with me, so I'm going to go along and get some of them. A couple of things, if you're new to gardening, and believe you me, I live and learn, and I'm always learning new things, but if you're new to it this year, because I know quite a lot of you have just taken on a new plot, or you're looking forward to doing your first few bits and pieces with your vegetables, can I just say, keep a diary, because first year I did, and I remembered where everything was, what everything was, and it came into its own in my second year, because I was able to look back and see what had grown, what mistakes I'd made, and all sorts, and there were quite a few. I still are. Last year I didn't keep one the same, and that means that this year I feel a little bit high and dry actually, like I've just said before. Can't quite remember what varieties I've done and what I've got, so I'm going to make that a bit of a thing, that this year I'm going to get back on top of my diary. So yeah, just recommend doing that. The main thing is have fun, enjoy it. It's great, it really is, and it's almost free. If you're in your back garden, it's free. If you're paying an allotment, paying for an allotment, you know, it's worth every single penny. It's wonderful. Anyway, I am wittering now, aren't I? So I'm going to go. Lovely to see you all again. And yes, hopefully I'll be back down again soon, but I've got to go and get my artichokes. So yeah, see you soon. Bye. Bye.